your Open Source Advocate, and I'm back for part 3 of TrueNAS, and today we're actually going to do the installation of the NextCloud plugin. Now that's an officially sponsored TrueNAS plugin by the IX Systems folks, but there are a lot of community plugins out there that you should look at and check into. You can just install so many cool things with TrueNAS and really set up your network and your home lab using TrueNAS if you want to. So get out there and check those things out as well. But we'll get into the actual NextCloud plugin installation and setup today. And I hope you enjoy it and get a lot out of it. And if you have questions, let me know in the comments or contact me through some of my contact information. Other than that, let's get started. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and all of my patrons over at Patreon. Seriously, you guys make this so worth it for me to do these videos every week. I really truly enjoy it, and I just can't say thank you enough. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribe. Let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job by subscribing to the channel. Plus, you'll get notified when I have new videos coming out. And finally, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, give it a like. Just click on that thumbs up, and that way YouTube knows that you like it, and they'll pass it along to other people that might enjoy my content as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Let's get started. So this is my second, third episode. I don't know. It'll depend on how I cut things together, but covering TrueNAS, and I wanted to talk a little bit about adding in some of the plugins that you can add on to TrueNAS, which makes it just an even more incredible system than it already is. So I wanted to go through what I've got set up now, because I kind of went through some of it with you and I've changed it a little bit since then. But if you look, I've got this first 8 terabyte pool, and I created basically a data share there that I'm going to use for some of this stuff. And then down below that, I've got this one that I misspelled striped. I didn't even realize that till I looked later, but there you go, strepid. I've got strepid basically set up here, and it's a 3 terabyte setup that I can use, and I can utilize that space for different things. And I've got some shares already set up on there that we went through in the last video. And then down here, I had a separate 3 terabyte drive that I set up, and I set it up to back up my MacBook Pro. Using Samba, and that's still working as far as I know. And then I went and added a 4 terabyte drive to that, and then striped it. So now I've really got like a total of 6 terabytes. It kind of takes up a little bit of space for the striping and things like that, but available 6 terabytes because I'm using up some space a little bit for just the storage and things like that. So this is kind of the setup that I've got right now as far as pools go. So if we go back up to just the dashboard here, I really love this dashboard. It's great. It shows you what version of everything you're on, CPU usage, which goes up and down depending on what's happening, how much RAM I've got available versus how much RAM I'm using and where that RAM is being used at. So that's great. And then of course you've got your different shares. So if you have more shares, then you'll see more tiles that you can scroll through, and you can kind of see their health. So I did have a disk that went wonky because we had a pretty hot day. I'm here in South Texas, and it got up to about 90 one day, and I wasn't paying attention, and the heater in my office turned on where this thing is at, and I just, my brain fried, much less everything else. So one of the drives that's a USB drive was not getting good airflow, and it freaked out. So it got pretty warm in there, and it didn't like that. So that drive kind of freaked out and got some corruption. But I was able to basically run the resilvering process, which is great when you're talking about having shared systems. It was on this one. It was the USB drive on this striped system. So I was able to resilver it and bring it back to a healthy status, which is great. That took quite a while to go through, but it brought it back, and I didn't have to lose that drive. It was just something that kind of, the heat created a problem with the drive, and it didn't like that. And then of course you can see your network information. So if you've got more than one NIC, you'll see more than one of those in here. So it's a nice little dashboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down, and we're going to click on the plugins section. And the first time you do this, it's going to pop this up and say, hey, what pool do you want to set up for your plugin and jail storage? So for me, I'm going to go ahead and use this 8 terabyte pool here, and I'm going to click choose, and we'll let it kind of run through its thing. It's going to tell us, all right, good deal. We'll close that. So when you look here, you get some out of the box things from the TrueNAS folks. So a few plugins just out of the box. So you can see you've got Plex, and you've got Sync Thing, and you've got just a few things. So Terranap and all kinds of different things that you can do. But here's NextCloud. So you've got one straight from them for NextCloud, which is the one we're going to do today. But if you click on this little drop down, you'll see there's also this community option. When you click on that, now look, we've got this scrollable list of different Jails applications that we can actually go and put on here, which is what we want. This is great, right? This is a whole lot of plugins, a lot of things that we might want to self-host. And I mean, you're going to see a lot of stuff in here that you might be interested in. There's OpenVPN, you know, here's just all kinds of different things, right? Mumble server I saw back there a while ago. Just Sonar. I know a lot of people ask about Sonar on the self-hosted Reddit quite a bit. I'm not real familiar with that one, but there's Sonar for you. You know, just tons of stuff here that you can go and actually get and run on your TrueNAS system and kind of let it be part of that setup that you've got there. The one that I'm missing, that I'm not excited to see missing, is Jellyfin. I see MB, but I haven't seen Jellyfin on here. Now you do have Home Assistant Core, and you've got Home Bridge, which is great. But yeah, no Jellyfin, so I'm a little sad about that. It'd be nice if somebody would create one of the plugins for Jellyfin as well, because that's kind of my preferred media center. But at any rate, there's some really great stuff in here that you can run as well when you click on the community version. Now we're going to go back to NextCloud, and we're going to go back to their built-in applications, and I'm just going to click on. So I'm going to click on NextCloud just to highlight it and make it be the thing that I've selected, and then we're just going to click on Install. So the first thing it says is here's the plugin name. It's NextCloud. The jail name, we're just going to put NextCloud again. That's fine. We're going to set up NAT, and it's got an IPv4 option, IP. So all this stuff we don't really have to mess with here. Really everything is already kind of set up. So there is an advanced plugin installation that we can click on here if we want to do some other things as well. So it did take away our jail name, so we can go back and give it the jail name if we want to. So here it's got a virtual network interface, and it says auto, but you can go in and select your actual interface. So if you have more than one interface and you're wanting to use a different one and you don't want to use auto, you can go in and do that. In my case, there's only one interface, so it's going to pick the right one anyways. Now if you also want IPv6, you can tell it to auto configure IPv6 before you move forward, but that's really the basis of what we're trying to do. So I'm going to, and there's more things. There's jail properties, which I'm not an expert on jails, so I can't really talk much to that. There's network properties here that you can check out and kind of look through and see if there's something you want to change or make better about it. The first time I did this, everything seemed to run fine, so I'm not going to make any changes there either. And then finally, there's custom properties if you have any custom properties you want to set up as well. So I'm going to cancel out of this real quick. I'm going to click on NextCloud. I'm going to click on Install again. And I'm going to give it the name that I gave it a while ago, so NextCloud. And then really I'm just going to leave all the defaults here, and I'm just going to hit Save. And this thing's going to go out and it's going to pull down NextCloud, and it's going to get it installed and set up, and you can kind of just watch the percentage there. So I'll fast forward through this part so you don't have to sit here and watch this thing do it. But it takes a little bit of time. It's not super fast. It's not like running it in Docker or something. It takes a little bit of time for it to go get everything and get it set up. So just be patient and we'll let it run. Alright, so when it finishes up, this is what it looks like. And you'll see there's quite a bit of information here that it says, you know, as it went through. So in this case, it shows here's my SQL password and SQL temp password. And there's a few things in here that you want to make note of. So the NAT address is the same IP address as what I have for my TrueNAS system. At the end, though, it says you can get to the admin portal through this address at this port. This is really important to take note of. So take note of this IP address, and then you can close this window. It'll bring you back and it'll show you the NextCloud information here. Now when you get to this screen, you can come to the right and click the little arrow to expand, and here you can see a little bit more information about the NextCloud installation. What you'll want to open up is this part that says Post Install Notes. This is going to have the database name, it's going to have your database user, your database password, it's going to have your NextCloud admin user, and then your NextCloud admin password. So you've got two different things here that you really need to pay attention to. And really the two things you need are the admin user and then the admin password that they set up for you. Now you should go in and log in as this user and then change that password when you can, and then also create a second user for yourself and then create a password for that user and give yourself the rights you want. So we'll go do that real quick. So I'm going to highlight the password and copy it and try to not get any spaces in there with it. So now that I've highlighted the password that I want, I can click here on Manage and it'll open up my interface in a tab for me, which is great. Makes it really easy to get to. So here I'm going to type in nzadmin and then I'm going to paste in that password that they created for me. I'm going to log in. Let's see. Oops, thought I typed it right. Let me check it. Okay, yeah, so when you paste things in, make sure when you copy them that you don't copy any extra spaces and things like that, because that can create issues with trying to log in. But as you can see, everything is coming up like we'd expect. It gives us the wizard, which we can click through the wizard if we want to, or we can just close it by clicking up here on the X in the upper right corner. But it does give you some good information. So if you've not run NextCloud before, it's worth going through that. So now we've got our NextCloud system set up. And really, you can just go through the normal setup steps that you would for NextCloud. Basically, go change the password for your user, set up new users, install applications that you want to use, and so on. And you can set this up to use NextCloud Talk. So if you want to do phone calls, video calls, chat with people on your NextCloud system through your devices or through your desktop, you can set that up in here as well. You can set up shared spaces, and you can set up spaces for other users so that they can start syncing. And of course, you can go and set up your sync clients on your different machines to start syncing to your TrueNAS system through NextCloud. Now, one thing to remember is TrueNAS is a network attached storage. So you can set up backups and you can back up. But I want to make sure everybody understands the difference between a backup and a sync. A sync means I'm going to sync the data, which means as I put data and I delete data, that's what's happening on the other side too. It's syncing those changes between the systems. So let's say I add file brian.txt and then I modify it. It's going to sync those modifications over and I'm going to lose the other changes potentially. Now NextCloud does have some versioning and stuff like that that you can turn on, but in its essence, NextCloud is a syncing system. So when I make changes on this machine and I have the client running on another machine, I can open that same file on the other machine and it has the exact same changes, which is great. That means I can move around between machines and still work and get things done. But it also means that that's not really a backup. So Time Machine on a Mac is an incredible backup system because it keeps versions of everything you do at different increments, and you can go back to any increment and see what that version was. Microsoft just started including this with lots of their products. Linux, other Linux applications can do this in lots of their products. I'm sure BSD applications can do this as well, but just understand that a syncing application is exactly what it says. It syncs between the systems to keep them the same. So you could lose changes as you make changes. It's not a backup system. Now it works a little bit as a backup, like you have things in multiple places, but it's not an actual true backup. So just know that as you move forward with these thoughts. That's really the essence of installing NextCloud and getting it set up to run on TrueNAS. It's very, very simple. You click, you hit install, you let it install, you go look at your information for the installation, you go to manage, you log in, and you use NextCloud. There's really not much more to it. I've kind of set it up, it's ready to go. Now if I want to install other applications, I can do that. So there are other ones, and I'll let you guys kind of see what these are again. So if you've got a question about one or you'd like to see the installation of one, let me know. We'll go through it together. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along on the journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.